In this section, we're going to go over the most important things in terms of weight loss and your overall health. We'll start with the first, which is the most important, especially in terms of weight loss, and that's your calorie deficit. Then we're going to jump into your protein consumption, sleep, water, stress levels, micronutrients, your consistency, creating good habits, and creating healthy goals, consuming whole foods or less processed foods when possible, and then at the very end, there'll be a downloadable recommended foods list for all of the things I recommend that are the best options you could eat, and you can keep that with you, print it out, bring it to your friends, whatever you want to do. That will really help you determine what the best foods are that are going to help you reach your goals. We're going to go over the basics of a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is when you're burning more calories than you're consuming in a day, and this will result in weight loss. You must maintain a calorie deficit for a long period of time to lose weight. I suggest a bare minimum of 4 weeks just to see results, but it usually takes a lot longer to get the results you're probably looking for. Be patient. You will not see weight loss results if you are not in a calorie deficit, and I'm repeating this one twice because I want it to stick with you. It's important. You will not see weight loss results if you are not in a calorie deficit. You don't need to be in a calorie deficit every single day as long as your overall diet is a calorie deficit. I look at this in a weekly perspective. So if, for say, you want to go out on Friday night with your family or your friends or your coworkers, and you want to have a drink or two or you want to have a different meal, that's probably going to bump you out of your calorie deficit that day. But that doesn't mean overall that you're not going to be in a calorie deficit. So I like to look at it in a weekly perspective. We're going to look at that on the next slide. The last thing that's important to know is that it doesn't matter what type of food you are eating, you will still lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit. I recommend sticking to healthy foods overall, but you really could eat anything. You could eat sugar, you can have alcohol, you can have anything and still lose weight so long as you're still in the calorie deficit, which means you can enjoy some of your favorite foods while you're losing weight. Is calorie counting an obsessive habit? This is a common question I get, or people that I meet that have tried calorie counting in the past and struggled with it, so they don't want to do it again. And I personally think that it's not obsessive, but it's very calculative. It's an analytical approach to losing weight. It puts you in control of becoming the person you want to be instead of leaving things up to chance. It makes you accountable and helps you to believe that you're capable of reaching your goals. It also helps you create new habits and new identity around food. What I mean by a new identity around food is that instead of being a person that's overweight, can't control their eating habits, stuff like that, it makes you the person who's responsible for their food intake, taking charge of their health, and a person who's confident that they will become the best version of themselves and confident that they will lose weight. There are a lot of times people who struggle with calorie counting, and some of the ways that they struggle should really be addressed. So one thing that people often will do is trying to eat less than their allotted calorie amount so that they lose weight faster. Other people will find out the minimum amount of food that they can be eating that's considered quote unquote healthy and strive for that number to lose weight as fast as possible. But both of these are unsustainable and can lead to being both miserable and developing eating disorders. Instead of looking at weight loss as how fast you can go or how little calories you can eat, look at it as how much you're able to continue eating and lose weight slowly. We'd rather you be in a higher calorie range, losing weight slowly, and feeling happy and being in a sustainable place. How maintainable is your diet over long periods of time? Can you keep it up? And how you can change your lifestyle habits to result in a healthier you. Those are the things that we should be focusing on when you're in a calorie deficit. When it comes to your calorie intake, look at your calorie goal as a target point that you could go under or over by a little bit, or maybe more of a range point, instead of a set point that has to be perfect or underneath. So what I would say, for example, is if your target calorie range is 1,700 calories in a day, well, maybe you could eat anywhere from 1,600 to 1,800. That way, if you're a little bit under or a little bit over, it doesn't really matter too much. You're still going to be, on average, around 1,700, rather than trying to force yourself to eat less than 1,700, and if you hit 1,705, you freak out because you did it wrong. Another way to look at a calorie deficit is like having a financial budget. Is it crazy to count how much money you spend on different things each week while you're saving up for something important to you? Is it crazy to make sure that you're not overspending or going into debt? No. So what's the difference with calorie counting? Let's look at this from a weekly perspective. Say your daily calorie target for losing 1 pound per week is about 1,500 calories a day. I picked that number because it's easy to do math with. Here are a few examples of how you could consume calories each day that will help you reach your goals. In the columns, you can see the days of the week, and then in each row, there's a different option of how you could divvy up your calories. So what I did was I multiplied 1,500 by 7 days in the week, to calculate your weekly calorie allotment. Comes out to 10,500 calories. Now we can divide that into 7 days however we want to. In the first row, you can see that they're all exactly the same. So you could just eat the 1,500 calories a day every single day. Now, some people really like to go out with friends on the weekend, and that's their time to enjoy themselves, have drinks, have food, go out for breakfast, whatever it might be. So in the second row, I put low calories Monday through Thursday when you're going to be at work, doing your thing in the zone. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I gave this person extra calories so that they could go out and enjoy things with their friends. Your calories do still count on the weekend, so don't think I'm going to eat 1,500 calories Monday through Friday and see whatever happens on Saturday and Sunday. You're either not going to make progress or make very, very slow progress. So definitely be watchful of those weekends. And maybe if you're a weekend person like that, follow something similar to what I put in row 2. In the last column, I put just Saturday being a high calorie day. And that's because some people do better sticking to their plan like 95% of the time and having their one day where they can kind of go out and enjoy things. But if they do a couple days in a row, it really throws them off track. This is really dependent on the person and what works for you. So you may want to try different things or try each layout and see what works for you. But for this person, their daily average was going to be 1,300 calories. And then on Saturday, they had room for anything they wanted to do. So if they were like, I'm going to go celebrate my friend's birthday and I want to have pizza and beer, then so be it on Saturday. And it's all going to fit into that day. If you add up all the calories in each row, they're always going to come out to 10,500 calories. So always just look at making your weekly allotment and then dividing it however you like. One thing that's important to note is when you're calculating your own, I don't recommend going below 1,200 calories a day as a female or 1,400 calories a day as a male. Those are typically pretty standard numbers that everybody is needed to require for basic functioning of your organs and things like that. So it's really vital that you don't go below that number. There are special cases where people will fast or be working with doctors, and that's a little bit different. But for the average person, you'll definitely want to eat more than that in a day. The very last row, you can see I wrote create your own version. So when you're deciding to do this on your own, and let's say, 1 week you're really good about the first row, and then the next week you know that you have a meeting where you have to meet a client for dinner on a Tuesday night, well then you can kind of adjust it and create your own version as long as you're within your overall weekly calorie allotment.